Do you personally think that Brisbane is a world-class city, and why do you believe this?
I think Brisbane's starting to become a world-class city. Facilities that are now available to sports people and the public in general are a lot better than they were when I first arrived here 25 years ago. So yeah, it's getting up there, and some of the stadiums, i.e. Suncorp Stadium just up the road here, is fantastic.
Do you believe that there are enough sporting complexes in Brisbane? If not, what can we do to fix it?
Now, there's never enough sporting facilities, but the problem is getting the finance to build the infrastructure for whatever sports. With places like Suncorp and ANZ Stadium, I think could be utilised maybe a little bit more. But with places out at Chandler, it's getting there. But each sport has to then work really hard to help get the infrastructure up and running and maintain it and make sure it's used to its full potential.
Is public transport efficient enough to access sporting complexes? What are your thoughts on this?
As it stands at the moment, yeah, it's probably okay because most of the sporting centres, the stadiums, whatever, are fairly central. You could always do with a bit more public transport. Your buses could run a little bit more frequently, and that sort of thing. But once again, the general public's got to be open to using it a lot more frequently as well, and a lot better. But once again, the pricing of public transport could be a little bit more helpful to mums and dads and families. On the whole, I think it's sometimes a little bit expensive, but you get it.
Have you ever had any trouble depending on public transport when going to an event? If so, how?
Not really, not an event, because we generally drive to a train station and then we come into town, especially if we're going to Suncorp, and we use it that way. And then getting out of there is quite good. I'm not a big fan of big crowds, but anyway, that's what you've got to do if you want to go. So yeah, it's pretty good most of the time. So yeah.
Throughout your experience at sporting events, did you think that the complexes supplied comfortable facilities?
Yeah, I think they do. In terms of that, you've got to try and utilise the space that's available, so you make the most. Your seats might not be recliner armchairs and things like that, but there's a cost involved to setting up a stadium, so you get what's provided. Generally, it's pretty comfortable, and the ability to get in and out of your seat, go and buy a drink or a pie or whatever it is without the facilities is pretty good. So, yeah.
Do you think the Brisbane sporting complexes
Could be improved.
Yeah, can be improved.
They could put the leather armchairs in, that would be nice. The recliner armchairs, make it gold class stadiums. No, look, they're pretty good, but maybe just a fraction more space. I'm not a big bloke, but sometimes it's struggle to get in and out, and you've got to squeeze past people and that sort of stuff. But you're going to get that wherever you go, it doesn't matter. Stadiums around the world have that issue.
What about on the top?
I'm not going to go and sit up there.
No, I mean to protect from rain.
Sorry, to
Protect from rain.
Shelter?
Yeah, that's nice. Like you get places like Etihad down in Melbourne, which is really nice. You close the roof, and it's wonderful. But there's a massive cost to putting a roof on a stadium.
Yeah.
Once again, you've then got to have the amount of sporting events going on that are then going to cover those costs over time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be nice, but yeah, it's a big expense.
How well do you think the events are organised?
On a whole, generally very good. The companies that run the stadiums and the clubs that put on the events and things like that, their national bodies do a pretty good job on the whole running the events. I think it's quite good.
Do you have any ideas for sporting complexes that could be built in the future?
I think maybe slightly smaller, more what they call boutique stadiums might be good for whether it be rugby union, rugby league, soccer, that sort of stuff. where, because you find a lot of crowds in there, you might only get 15 or 20,000 to a game, and it's a massive cost to the club who run the event to be opening up the 50,000 seat stadium. So if you could do that, but once again, you've got to get the funding from state, federal governments, local investors, that sort of stuff, to do that. But it'd be nice if they could. It's a massive cost involved in it, so it'd be good.
Do you have any? Oh my goodness. How efficient is the service while sporting events are being held in major sporting complexes?
The service is pretty good. They can only do what they can. If you've got 52,000 people coming at you, all wanting a Coke and a water and a sausage roll and a hot dog, you've just got to expect that there are going to be some delays. It's up to the individual then to try and time their run to the bathroom or the food stall or whatever it is. But on a whole, they're pretty good. And if you've only got 20,000 people there, then it makes it a lot easier. And you're not away from your seat for too long and things like that. So on a whole, they do pretty well. The only issue I have with the catering and things at those stadiums is once again the cost of it. You know, it becomes quite excessive for mum, dad, and the two kids. You know, it's a $70, $80 day out, and that's just the food.
Yeah.
It's not the ticket of the event itself. So, yeah.
How well do you think the safety of the athletes playing is?
Of the players.
Yeah. So like out an ambulance on standby and stuff.
Oh, that's yeah. In this day and age, it's brilliant. Not only do you have ambulance officers on standby, you've got volunteers there who carry the stretchers onto the field. Plus, each individual team has their own doctors, physios, sports trainers, masseurs, all that sort of stuff. So the health and well-being of the individual athlete is paramount. And because those athletes are why people come to sporting events. They want to see their sporting heroes do well and play well and perform at their best. So to have those people on the sideline there looking after them and then getting them back onto the field if they do get injured is fantastic. And hats off to each and every team. Now, 2017, with sports medicine and that sort of stuff available to people, it's a lot better than what it used to be. So yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank
That's
you
it.
for